Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here today because, well, we're about to explore what is honestly a total paradigm shift. Look, if you're focused on growing a business, building a product, or even just trying to keep your head above water in today's hyper-fast market, the way you look at the people you're up against, it changes absolutely everything. So today, we're unpacking the catalyst of competition and looking at how to completely flip the script on rivalry. We're talking about turning what usually feels like, frustrating friction into pure, high-octane fuel for your own success.
Let's start with a feeling I know we've all had. Have you ever looked at a competitor's success? Maybe it's a slick new billboard you drive past, a viral announcement, or some massive funding round. And you just feel that familiar sinking sting? It's that quiet little voice whispering in the back of your head saying, "Man, they're winning, and I'm not." It's incredibly common to feel that way. But the thing is, it's also the oldest illusion in business. It's this deep-seated, kind of toxic belief that someone else's success somehow steals your oxygen.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the source material we're looking at today shatters that illusion right out of the gate. We're dealing with a classic myth versus reality situation here. The myth? The myth is that competition means conflict. But the reality, and this is the truth that truly separates the builders from the bidder, is that competition is fuel. Your competitor is not your enemy. In fact, if you just shift your perspective a tiny bit, you'll realize they're actually doing a massive amount of heavy lifting for you.
And that perfectly sets up Section 1, the unpaid market educator. We really need to ask ourselves, who is actually building the door you're about to walk through? Think about it like walking into a party. The music is absolutely perfect, right? But the crowd is completely frozen. Nobody wants to be the very first person out on the floor. Then someone finally stands up, starts moving kind of awkwardly, and completely breaks the ice. Well, that first dancer, that is your competitor. First off, they take the massive social risk. Second, they get the market ready. And third, they leave the door wide open. So when you finally step out there, the room is already warmed up. You don't have to mimic their awkward first moves. You just have to create your own unique rhythm, a rhythm that makes people stop, look, and say, "Oh, wow, okay, that's different."
And as we can see, this isn't just some neat theory. It is literal history. Before Apple completely changed the game, there was IBM. Before Tesla made electric cars something people actually desired, there was GM. And before ChatGPT took over the entire world, there were hundreds of forgotten chatbots tirelessly teaching people that, hey, machines can actually talk. Your competitors are out there spending millions on awareness, on product education, on trial and error. They're planting seeds in fields that nobody else believed were fertile. So when you finally arrive on the scene, don't curse the shadow of their success. Study the light that made it possible. Because they didn't take your market, they actually made your market.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, the market is a fire. It is time we debunk the pie myth, which is honestly one of the laziest cliches in the entire business world.
Now, what's really interesting about this is, it's exactly how you shouldn't think. You see this donut chart all the time, right? People love to say, the market is a pie and everyone's just fighting for a slice. There is my share, their share, and the available market. Seeing it laid out like this makes it so obvious that we need to completely erase this from our mindset. It's just lazy thinking, and all it does is artificially cap your potential.
Instead, we need to look at a much truer definition. The market is absolutely not a pie to be divided up. It's a fire, and the incredible thing about a fire is that the more people add their spark to it, the bigger the overall blaze grows. Your competitor didn't just greedily eat your slice of dessert. They struck the match. They lit the flame. And now? Well, now it's your turn to add some oxygen and really fuel it.
Because true innovation, it isn't about domination. It is all about ignition. And this is exactly how the modern AI industry evolved. When OpenAI broke onto the scene, they weren't just playing some zero-sum game fighting Google. No, they were accelerating humanity's collective belief in intelligent systems. And now, because of that initial ignition, we've got hundreds of companies building on that shared faith, with every single one of them adding their own oxygen to the blaze.
Which brings us to a pretty hard truth in Section 3. The real enemy is comfort, the mirror you didn't ask for. If your competitor isn't the enemy, then who is? Well, your competition is really just that unexpected mirror you didn't ask for, but desperately, desperately need.
A competitor basically shows you what you're ignoring, what you're underestimating, and what you haven't even dared to try yet. There are all these clues just left in plain sight. We're talking pricing models, customer behavior, complaints, market timing, feature pivots. Every single time they launch a new feature or pivot their strategy, or even every time their customers post a frustrated complaint online, that right there is your exact playbook for evolution. Netflix learned from Blockbuster. OpenAI learned from literally decades of failed AI labs. You can learn from everyone who came before you and didn't quit. Think of it this way. They've already paid the tuition for the mistakes that you don't have to make.
So you really have to ask yourself, is your competitor just an alarm clock you keep hitting snooze on? Because the biggest threat out there isn't that someone is building something similar to you. The biggest threat is that you stop moving. The moment you get comfortable, someone hungrier starts building. And man, AI has made this brutally, undeniably clear. The literal minute you sit back and think, okay, my product is done, a brand new model drops, a whole new paradigm shifts, and your relevance just evaporates into thin air. Competition keeps your neurons firing. It's the only thing that pushes you from just good enough to absolutely can't be ignored.
Let's look at how this applies at the absolute highest levels today in Section 4, the AI leadership revolution. Let's move to this and see how it builds, because this is genuinely fascinating. What we are seeing in the AI-driven world right now is a cycle of compounding intelligence. Just look at the progression here. Decades ago, failed AI labs built this early, super rocky foundation. Then, years ago, early chatbots taught machines how to talk, and, maybe more importantly, trained the public on how to interact with them. And today we have hundreds of companies building on that exact shared faith. In this world, leadership isn't about being first anymore. It's about being right next. Every single leap, from basic GPTs to copilots to fully autonomous systems, was built directly on top of somebody else's courage.
But embracing this requires a massive shift in executive maturity. On one side, we have the immature urge, I'm going to beat them, and look, that's just driven by pure ego. But on the other side, we have the builder's mark, I'll build better. You see, you don't win by just erasing someone else's name from the whiteboard, you win by rewriting the rules of the game entirely. That is how true knowledge revolutions actually happen. AI didn't rise because one single company won the race. It rose because 100 different thinkers dared to question, to iterate, and to build on each other's breakthroughs.
I absolutely love this quote, and I think it perfectly captures the whole essence of the knowledge revolution. We don't compete with the past, we converse with it. We don't dismiss what came before, we decode it. It isn't about who owns the data anymore, guys. It's entirely about who learns from it faster. True AI leadership means seeing way past petty rivalry and finally recognizing the collective intelligence that actually shapes human progress.
Remember, every competitor who came before you did the hardest job imaginable. They built a launchpad of faith. They proved that the idea matters. They proved that the customers actually exist in the real world. And they proved that money can be made. Belief is literally the rarest currency in innovation. So when you step into the market, you aren't walking into some empty void. You're standing on the shoulders of their persistence. They started the chapter, now you get to write the next one.
So the crucial point is this. In the age of intelligent machines, the real victory doesn't come from fighting other people. Progress itself is the shared competitor. Your fight is against stagnation. Your fight is against the limits of what is currently possible. You learn from those who came before you, and you build for those who will come next. That, right there, is how you make a revolution last.
I want to leave you with this final, vital question to chew on. If progress is truly the shared competitor, and your rivals have already done the hard work of warming up the room for you, are you just entering the market to build another product? Or are you ready to elevate the market and build a movement? Because in this era, leadership isn't about taking the throne. It's about extending the kingdom of knowledge. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Take this mindset, stop looking sideways at your competitors, and start building upward. Catch you next time.